of us scroll past news headlines thinking the worst crimes only happens in movies, where actors go home when the cameras stop rolling. But some of the most terrifying crimes of 2025 didn't happen in Hollywood to popular actors. They happened to real people, in real places, and left families devastated. Today, we're looking at 5 of the scariest true crime events of 2025 so far. Stories of wrong doors, sudden stabbings, classroom horrors, train rampages, and a police operation that turned into a massacre. Watch to the end. The final case is the one that still haunts both reporters and entire communities. Thanks for clicking on this video, and please like, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. Also, drop a comment sharing where you're watching from. Let's see which country has the most viewers. Crime number 1, the Indiana wrong address shooting. Maria Florinda Rios Perez de Velasquez believed November 6, 2025 would be just another workday. The 32-year-old mother of 4 had been cleaning homes with her husband Mauricio for 7 months, and this Wednesday morning seemed no different. They arrived at a house in Whitestown, Indiana, a quiet Indianapolis suburb of about 10,000 people, carrying their keys and cleaning supplies. But Maria and Mauricio were standing at the wrong front door. At exactly 6:49 in the morning, someone inside the house called 911 to report a possible home invasion. Maria stood on the front porch with her husband, trying to unlock the door with the keys they'd been given. She never saw the homeowner on the other side, because the door never opened. A single gunshot tore through the wooden door. Maria took 2 steps backward. Her husband watched as she looked at him with confusion. Then she fell into his arms. Blood poured from a wound in her head, and Mauricio held her as she died on that porch. He never saw who pulled the trigger. Police arrived within minutes to find Maria dead on the front porch, still outside the home she'd never entered. A bullet hole marked the door where the shot had come through. Investigators quickly determined this wasn't a home invasion at all. Maria and Mauricio were part of a cleaning crew that had simply gone to the wrong address by mistake. The Boone County Coroner's Office ruled Maria's death a homicide caused by a gunshot wound to the head. Yet the question everyone started asking was simple. Would the homeowner face charges? Indiana's castle doctrine allows people to use deadly force to stop what they reasonably believe is an unlawful entry into their home. 31 states have similar laws. The Whitestown Metropolitan Police Department completed their investigation and submitted the case to prosecutors, who must now decide whether shooting through a closed door at someone who never actually entered the home falls under that protection. Maria's brother, Rudy, spoke through tears about his sister. She was loving, humble, and happy, a woman dedicated to her 4 children who ranged in age from 1 to 17 years old. Her husband insisted they had checked the address twice before approaching, though police maintain they went to the wrong house. The family wants justice, because tomorrow there could be more victims like this. They believe Maria was killed at a time of increased racial profiling and hatred toward immigrants. The woman who came to America from Guatemala, seeking a better life for her family, now needs that same family to raise money to send her body home for burial. As of now, no charges have been filed. The homeowner remains unnamed. Maria's children remain without their mother. The castle doctrine debate rages on, while a family mourns a woman who died for the simple mistake of standing at the wrong door. If you think shooting through a door at someone trying to use their cleaning keys deserves a prison sentence, let me know below. What do you think justice would look like in this case? Crime number 2, the Aschaffenburg Kindergarten Attack. On January 22, 2025, a kindergarten group went for a morning walk through Schöntal Park in Aschaffenburg, Germany. 2 female teachers guided the group through the park in the center of the Bavarian city. It should have been a peaceful routine outing, but the teachers noticed something wrong. A man was following them. At 11:45 in the morning, the stalker made his move. Enamula Omarzai, a 28-year-old man, had been following the group of kindergartners in the park for about 15 minutes. Suddenly, he dashed past the teachers and targeted 2 toddlers seated in a toy wagon. He removed the hat and scarf from a 2-year-old Moroccan boy and then stabbed him with a knife. The blade also struck a 2-year-old Syrian girl sitting next to him. A 59-year-old teacher attempted to intervene and protect the children, but was shoved by the assailant, resulting in a broken hand. 2 male bystanders rushed to pull the attacker away from the toddlers, leading to a violent struggle that allowed the teachers and other children to escape. During this confrontation, the attacker stabbed both men in the back and side, resulting in the death of a 41-year-old man and injuring a 72-year-old man, both of whom were German citizens. Several passers-by, including 3 armed with pitchforks, pursued the assailant as he fled. As many as 50 witnesses took part in the search for him. He was apprehended by police 2 kilometers from the scene of the crime, near a train tunnel, just 12 minutes after the attack. The 2-year-old boy succumbed to his injuries after being stabbed 7 times, while the Syrian girl survived, but sustained critical injuries. From what they discovered about Omarzai, he had arrived in Bulgaria from Turkey in early 2022 and spent time in France before illegally moving to Germany in November 2022. 4 months later, he requested asylum. His request was refused in June 2023, with authorities ordering his repatriation to Bulgaria. At the time of the stabbing, he faced 18 separate criminal proceedings. His record included serious bodily harm, assault, and falsifying public transport tickets. For his first offense in March 2023, a physical fight at a refugee center in Schweinfurt, he was fined €800 that he never paid. On May 13, 2024, Omarzai came to a police precinct seeking medical help after ingesting drugs he called diamonds. When an ambulance arrived, he attempted to leave, then threw a punch at a policewoman. During a struggle with 3 officers, he undid the safety of an officer's sidearm and tried to grab a baton. Officers restrained him with handcuffs and cable binders. He was treated for a shoulder injury and found to be under the influence of cannabis. Psychiatric staff noted he constantly switched languages mid-sentence and fluctuated between moods, asking doctors to book him a flight back to Afghanistan the next day. He was diagnosed with adjustment disorder and potential polymorphic psychotic disorder, with symptoms of schizophrenia before being released the same day. In June 2024, Omarzai stripped naked at Aschaffenburg Hauptbahnhof, climbed into a salt bin, hit his head, and fell unconscious. While living in refugee accommodations, he was arrested 3 times in January and August 2024 for assaulting other refugees. During one incident, he damaged cars and kicked a paramedic in the face while drunk, leading to another psychiatric stay, from which he was released after several hours. On December 2, 2024, Omarzai was sentenced to 40 days imprisonment for failing to pay a fine, but didn't show up to prison on December 23rd. He had volunteered to return to Afghanistan after his sentence, for which authorities labeled him obligated to leave the country. After his conviction, Omarzai was assigned to mental health counseling. Doctors diagnosed him with schizophrenia and prescribed medication. However, he showed poor progress and maintained addictions to alcohol and cannabis. He stopped taking his medication altogether a few days before the attack. According to his later statements, he heard voices of a devil and agents in his head, who commanded him to kill children on the day of the attack. Yet a final doctor's report from early January 2025 stated there were no hints that Omarzai posed a danger to himself or others. The attack sparked intense debate about immigration policy just weeks before Germany's snap election in February. The new government under Chancellor Friedrich Merz increased deportations of criminal asylum seekers, in part due to the attack. On October 30th, 2025, after a 6-day trial, the Aschaffenburg court imposed indefinite involuntary commitment to a psychiatric institution. The presiding judge emphasized that Omarzai was unlikely to be released and would be held in a prison-like environment. An assessor made a poor prognosis due to belated treatment, prior substance addictions, and social isolation. Deportation was not considered viable because authorities believed Omarzai would likely return to Germany and pose a substantial risk to the public. Crime number 3, the laughing teacher schoolgirl murder. 8-year-old Kim Hanul attended her elementary school in Daejeon, South Korea, on February 10, 2025, like any other day. She participated in her after-school care program that afternoon. and as it ended around 5:50 in the evening, she prepared to go home. Most of the other children had already left with their parents. Kim was the last student remaining at school. Her teacher, 48-year-old Myung Jae-won, approached Kim with a kind offer. She told the little girl she wanted to give her a book and asked Kim to follow her to the audiovisual room on the second floor. Kim trusted her teacher completely, so she went. Inside that room, Myung pulled out a knife she'd purchased earlier that day. She stabbed Kim multiple times in the face and shoulders. The 8-year-old girl died from excessive bleeding before she could receive proper medical treatment. When authorities arrived at the school, they found Kim lying in a storage area connected to the audiovisual room. Myung lay unconscious beside her, with multiple self-inflicted stab wounds to her neck and hands. Paramedics rushed both to the hospital. What happened next still disturbs everyone who heard about it. Myung was brought to the emergency room of Konyang University Hospital at 6:43 that evening. Medical staff worked to control her severe bleeding and examine her damaged blood vessels. During this emergency treatment, Myung laughed out loud. The medical staff, who had no idea she was a murder suspect, thought they were simply treating a stab wound patient. They were confused and deeply disturbed by her laughter. The hospital administration told staff to keep quiet about Myung's behavior. This happened less than 10 minutes after Kim Ha-neul was pronounced dead at another hospital, though Myung likely didn't know the girl had died yet. Before going into surgery for her self-inflicted wounds, Myung confessed to police. She said it didn't matter which kid it was. She had planned to kill herself, and whichever child was the last to go home. Kim simply happened to be that child. Police investigation revealed the attack was thoroughly premeditated. Forensic analysis of Myung's phone, personal computer, and 3 work computers showed she had searched for murder cases and information about weapons 3 to 4 days before the crime. She bought the knife specifically for the attack, though she initially claimed she purchased it to commit suicide. Myung had suffered from depression since 2018. She used 188 days of medical leave since 2021. On December 9, 2024, she requested 6 months off for depression. However, after a doctor found her fit to continue working, she returned to work on December 30th, just 22 days later. But something was clearly wrong. 4 days before she murdered Kim, Myung twisted a colleague's arm in an aggressive outburst, putting the teacher in a headlock. That same day, she complained about slow internet and damaged a school computer. The school administration reported these incidents to the Daejeon Metropolitan Office of Education and urged authorities to intervene. 2 education office officials visited the school on the morning of February 10th to address Myung's behavior. They interviewed her about the previous altercation and recommended she take another leave of absence. After the meeting, they separated her from the other teacher and had her sit near the vice principal for monitoring. Hours later, Kim Ha-neul was dead. The family made a heartbreaking decision to publicly release Kim's name and birth date. Her father said they wanted to ensure such a tragedy never happened again. Residents of Daejeon left chrysanthemums, dolls, and sweets outside the school gate. The nation mourned an 8-year-old who should have been safe in the one place children are supposed to be protected. Prosecutors sought the death penalty for Myung, stating she showed no genuine remorse during the investigation, despite submitting 86 handwritten letters of apology to the court. On October 20th, 2025, the Daejeon District Court sentenced her to life in prison instead. The judge noted that Kim's pain and fear in what should have been the safest place was beyond what the court could measure. Myung was also ordered to wear an electronic tracking device for 30 years. She filed an appeal citing diminished responsibility, while prosecutors also appealed, arguing the sentence was too lenient given the heinous and brutal nature of the crime. The Daejeon Office of Education dismissed Myung and stripped her of her teaching qualifications in April. Yet despite this dismissal, her 20-plus years of service make her eligible to receive a retirement pension under South Korean law. Kim Ha-neul's family filed a civil suit seeking 410 million won against Myung, the school principal, and the metropolitan government for failing to stop the crime. Kim Ha-neul's funeral took place on February 14, 2025. Her ashes were buried at Daejeon Memorial Park, while the entire nation asked itself how this could have been prevented. Crime number 4. The Cambridgeshire Train Stabbing. November 1st, 2025 started as an ordinary Friday evening for passengers boarding the London Northeastern Railway train at Doncaster. The high-speed service to London King's Cross departed at 6:25 in the evening, carrying hundreds of commuters, families, and football fans heading home from matches. Among them were Nottingham Forest supporters, returning from their game against Manchester United. At 7:30 in the evening, the train made its scheduled stop at Peterborough Station in Cambridgeshire. A 32-year-old man named Anthony Williams boarded and found his seat. 14 minutes later, the screaming started. Williams pulled out a large knife and began indiscriminately stabbing passengers in Coach J, the fourth carriage from the front. Witnesses reported seeing people fleeing through the aisle covered in blood. One passenger, Wren Chambers, heard screaming and shouting from carriages ahead, then saw a man run past with a clear wound, bleeding heavily from his arm. She grabbed her bag and coat and moved forward down the train with other terrified passengers trying to escape. The train descended into chaos. People fled through the carriages seeking safety. Several passengers locked themselves inside train toilets. Others barricaded themselves in the buffet car 2 coaches away, which Williams tried but failed to enter. According to witnesses, the attacker said, "The devil is not going to win," during the rampage. One man stands out in this horror. 48-year-old Samir Zatouni had worked for LNER as a customer experience host for more than 2 decades. When Williams began his attack, Zatouni ran toward the danger. He placed himself between Williams and the passengers, confronting the attacker for a sustained period. Detectives who reviewed CCTV footage from the train said his actions were nothing short of heroic and undoubtedly saved many lives. Zatouni paid for his bravery with a knife to the chest. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, where he remained stable, but critically unwell for days. His family said they were immensely proud of Sam, noting that police called him a hero. But to them, he had always been one. The train's driver, Andrew Johnson, a Royal Navy veteran, made the crucial decision to divert the service to Huntingdon Station. At 7:42 in the evening, British Transport Police received the first emergency call. Within 8 minutes, armed officers had intercepted the train at Huntingdon. They stormed the platform, used a taser, and apprehended Williams as a police dog barked fiercely. Passengers spilled onto the platform, some covered in blood, all traumatized. 11 people were hospitalized. 9 had life-threatening injuries. Among the victims was Scunthorpe United defender Jonathan Gyoshe, who sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Another victim, Stephen Crean, a Nottingham Forest supporter, was stabbed multiple times in the hand, back, and head. He later described crawling bloodied to safety. Police initially arrested 2 men at the scene, but released a 35-year-old the following day after determining he wasn't involved. They later identified the attacker as Anthony Williams from Peterborough. He appeared at Peterborough Magistrates Court on Monday, November 3rd, charged with 10 counts of attempted murder related to the train victims, plus an 11th count for a separate incident earlier that day. The investigation revealed Williams had been on a violent spree throughout the weekend. On Friday, October 31st at 7:10 in the evening, a 14-year-old boy was stabbed by a man with a knife in Peterborough City Centre on Henry Penn Walk. The boy was taken to the hospital with minor injuries and later discharged. The attacker left the scene before police arrived. The next morning, Saturday, November 1st at 9:25, barbers in Fletton reported another incident to Cambridgeshire Constabulary. Police arrived 18 minutes later, but couldn't find the suspect. Chilling CCTV footage later showed Williams pacing outside a barber shop shortly after the 14-year-old was stabbed. Then at Pontoon Dock DLR station in East London, hours before the train attack, Williams allegedly stabbed another victim. He was charged with attempted murder and possession of a bladed article for that incident as well. British Transport Police are investigating whether the 17-year-old attacked at the barbers and other possible linked offenses tie back to Williams. Police stated they took steps to locate and arrest him after the Friday stabbing, but he evaded capture until the train incident forced a confrontation. Williams also faces 1 count of actual bodily harm for allegedly breaking a police officer's nose in custody after his arrest. Prosecutors outlined that Williams laughed during his arrest. The entire attack on the train lasted 10 to 15 minutes between the beginning of the stabbings and officers accessing the train at Huntingdon. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood paid tribute to Samir Zitouni, saying he ran toward danger and stopped the attacker's advance through the train. Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander also praised him, stating that people are alive today who wouldn't be had it not been for his actions. King Charles and Prime Minister Keir Starmer both expressed shock and sympathy for the victims. Police ruled out terrorism. They stated Williams, who reportedly has a history of mental health issues, believed he acted alone with no links to organized crime. Yet the randomness of the attack, a man boarding a train and choosing violence for no discernible reason, terrified everyone in a way terrorism almost couldn't. There was no manifesto, no group to blame, no warning signs beyond a troubled individual's descent into violence. From our investigation so far, 7 patients have been discharged from the hospital. Samir Zitouni remains stable. 3 other patients are still hospitalized. Williams is being held in custody awaiting trial at Cambridge Crown Court, where he has entered no plea. His next court appearance will determine whether the man who turned a routine train ride into a bloodbath will face justice for trying to kill 11 people. British Transport Police increased their presence across the railway network to reassure staff and the traveling public. Yet questions remain. How many attacks could have been prevented if Williams had been caught after the first stabbing? How many lives could have been saved if someone had intervened before he boarded that train? Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you can't stand when the authorities fail to stop repeat attackers before they escalate. Only people who think public safety doesn't matter won't. Crime number 5, the Rio de Janeiro mega operation Massacre. Just before dawn on October 28, 2025, 2,500 police and military forces assembled in the north zone of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Operation Containment, as authorities called it, targeted the Comando Vermelho, the Red Command, criminal organization that controlled the Alemão and Penha favelas. State Governor Claudio Castro declared Rio was at war against narco-terrorism and promised the largest operation in the city's history. What followed was 15 hours of gunfire, explosions, and death that would become the deadliest police operation in Brazilian history. The operation began with military-style force. 2 helicopters circled overhead, while 12 demolition vehicles from the elite Bopé unit rolled through narrow favela streets. 32 armored vehicles from the National Public Security Force joined the assault. Civil police mobilized all specialized units. Authorities came prepared to execute hundreds of arrest warrants against gang leaders controlling 26 communities across the favelas. But the Red Command fought back with weapons authorities had never seen in favelas before. Gang members set buses on fire to create barricades across the streets. Then the drones appeared, remote-controlled devices dropping explosive projectiles from the sky onto police forces below. Governor Castro posted video of a drone launching a bomb from cloudy skies, calling it proof that Rio faced narco-terrorism, not ordinary crime. Residents of the favelas lived through hell. Schools closed their doors, 46 of them across Penha and Alemão. The Federal University of Rio de Janeiro canceled night classes and told people on campus to seek shelter. Ground traffic halted on many of the city's main streets. At least 70 buses were commandeered by suspected gang members to use in blockades. The Rio Operations and Resilience Center declared a Level 2 alert, indicating high-impact threats to public safety. Gunfire echoed through the communities all day. Smoke and fire rose from the favelas as the battle raged. Residents recorded police armored trucks called caveirões entering neighborhoods while people still moved about the streets. Initial reports said stray bullets struck at least 3 bystanders. Multiple people were caught in crossfire. Then, as evening fell, the true scale of the violence began emerging. Governor Castro announced that 60 criminal suspects had been neutralized. But by the next morning, October 29th, residents of Penha went to a wooded area near their community and began finding bodies. Scores of them. They carried corpse after corpse out of the forest and laid them in São Lucas Square on blue tarpaulins and black plastic sheets covering the street. At least 70 bodies were found in that wooded area alone. The death toll climbed rapidly. Police said 115 gang suspects and 4 police officers were killed. Rio de Janeiro's State Public Defender's Office put the number even higher at 132 dead. All told, the operation killed more people than the notorious Carandiru prison massacre of 1992, when 111 prisoners died. But the residents of the favelas told a different story than the official one. Raquel Tomas stood over the body of her 19-year-old son. "They slit his throat," she said. "They cut his neck and hung his head from a tree like a trophy." Her voice shook as she spoke to reporters. "They executed my son without giving him a chance to defend himself. Everyone deserves a second chance," she said. During an operation, police should arrest suspects, not execute them. Barbara Barbosa, a domestic worker from the Penha complex, called it a massacre. Her own son had been killed in a prior operation. Residents dressed in white rode motorcycles through the streets of Penha in demonstration. Activist city councilwoman Monica Benicio, widow of assassinated councilwoman Marielle Franco, joined Congressman Glauber Braga and Tarcisio Mota at the protests. 19 demonstrations were called across the country on the same day. Human rights activists and investigators painted a picture of systematic failures that looked increasingly like cover-up. Police did not preserve crime scenes for analysis. A forensic expert told Human Rights Watch that, to their knowledge, forensic experts had not conducted crime scene analysis in any of the killings. When reporters reached the wooded area where bodies were found, they discovered unguarded evidence including blood spatters, bullet casings, and clothing scattered everywhere. Activist Raul Santiago from the Straight Talk Institute said they saw executed people, shot in the back, shots to the head, stab wounds, people tied up. This level of brutality and hatred, he said, could only be described as a massacre. Witnesses reported finding victims with close-range wounds and some decapitated. The mother who found her son's severed head wasn't the only one who saw evidence of executions. The military police secretary told reporters that body cameras may have run out of batteries during the operation, and images may have been lost. Supreme Court Justice Alexander de Moraes ordered Governor Castro to provide information about the police operation and scheduled a hearing. The Senate's Commission for Human Rights asked for clarifications. Prosecutors requested proof that there was no less harmful means of achieving the operation's objectives. Governor Castro insisted all those killed were criminals. He claimed the clashes largely took place in a wooded area where civilians were unlikely to be. "I don't think anyone would be walking in the forest on the day of the conflict," he told reporters. The only real victims were the police officers. Yet the timeline reveals a different truth. The civil police secretary accused residents of tampering with evidence for moving the bodies, but residents were only able to reach the bodies because police failed to protect the site of the shooting. The state attorney general said the lack of control over preservation of the site was surprising. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said he was horrified. The human rights organization Amnesty International strongly condemned what took place, calling it not a security operation, but a massacre. Over 100 people, most of them black and living in poverty, were killed in an operation planned and carried out by the state itself. The pattern of police violence in Rio de Janeiro reflects the racism embedded in Brazil's drug and public security policies. Governor Castro's administration has been responsible for 4 of the 5 deadliest operations in the state's history. In 2024, Rio de Janeiro police killed 703 people, a rate of almost 2 per day. They killed another 470 from January through August 2025. Of those killed in 2024, 86% were black. An Atlas Intel poll conducted after the operation showed 87.6% of residents in Rio's favelas supported the operation. Yet human rights groups questioned the timing. The operation came just before Rio hosted the C40 World Mayors Summit and Prince William's Earthshot Prize. The United Nations condemned the violence and demanded an investigation. 4 BOP agents and civil police officers died during the operation. 133 people were arrested. Police seized roughly 1 ton of drugs and 93 rifles. including weapons from the armies of Venezuela, Argentina, Peru, and Brazil itself. These numbers were touted as proof of success. But for the families holding funeral services, for the mothers who found their children dead in the woods, for the residents who woke up to find their streets lined with bodies, Operation Containment looked like something else entirely. It looked like the state deciding that the lives of poor, black favela residents were acceptable casualties in a war on drugs that has raged for decades with no end in sight. The investigation continues, though few expect meaningful accountability. This is Brazil's new normal. Police operations that kill more people in a day than most terrorist attacks manage in a year, all in the name of public safety. Governor Castro calls it standing firm against narco-terrorism. Residents call it genocide. These 5 cases are more than shocking headlines. They are broken lives, unanswered questions, and communities asking how the systems meant to protect us failed so badly. The terror didn't end when the cameras left. For victims and families, it became a lifetime of grief and unanswered why. Maybe that's the hardest thing to accept. Real horror doesn't need monsters or scripts. It only needs people, choices, and systems that sometimes collapse when they're needed most. If this video changed how you read the news or made you see a headline as a human life, please subscribe to this channel and press the like button to support our careful reporting on stories that matter. Tell us in the comments, which of these cases disturbed you the most? Stay safe, stay informed, and remember, protecting yourself is the highest form of self-care.
I want to thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you're going to love what's coming next. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for instant updates on our latest videos. See you in the next one.